I'm gonna start over again. Start off by saying the way the elections work in Oklahoma is, first of all, the state legislatures are the ones who write all the rules, all the legal rules about voting, and all of that then is administered on the ground by the county election boards. And so here in Bartlesville, you can be in either one of two counties. You can be in Washington County, depending on where your home is, right? This is all about where your home is. You can be in Washington County or Osage County. So it's very helpful to know who the county election boards are, because they're the ones who can give you information about your polling location, you know, where you go to vote, depending on where your home is. I know in Oklahoma County, where I live and work in election precincts, that's who I always recommend they contact is. And here's another thing to keep in mind. How many of you voted in the last 2 years? Everybody, pretty much?
I haven't. I moved here just about 2 years ago, and I haven't voted here yet.
Okay. Because here's the thing to keep in mind. Of course, you know that we do a census every 10 years in the United States, count everybody in the country. And 2020 was our last census. Well, when they do these censuses, I don't think that's the actual way of making that plural, but we'll try to give it a try. They go through and they take a look at the precincts that they got divvied up, because they're trying to make them match somehow with number of people, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes, you know, population density changes. So they redraw precinct maps. So if you only voted in the last presidential election, you may be voting in a different location than you did last time. That happened to me. They moved the line of the precinct that I had been in for 15 years, like 1 block north of where I was. So now instead of having a precinct location like 2 blocks from my house, now I've got one that's 1.5 miles from my house, right? I mean, I could actually walk to my old precinct location, but now, well, I can still walk 1.5 miles, but I'm not going to. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, you might, if you're unsure, you might call your county election board just to make sure you know where it is you're going, if you're going to vote at your precinct on election day. Because you got a couple of different options. You can vote in person, or you can vote by absentee ballot. And you can vote in person either on election day at the precinct that you are assigned to, or you can do early voting at the county election board. And that's written into the legislative rules. It's for 4 days the week before the election. So the election is going to be on November 5th. And therefore, you can vote early Wednesday, the October 30th, Thursday, October 31st, Friday, November 1st, and Saturday, November 2nd.
Do you guys need me to send this via text? I can't.
I'll send all this stuff
I
out.
can send that to you.
So, and it's usually at the county election board, and maybe sometimes, especially for busy elections, but I wouldn't imagine they do it in smaller counties like Washington and Osage, but maybe Tulsa and Oklahoma County will have like satellite locations where they'll go. Wednesday through Friday, the early voting is open from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m.
And I'll send this to anybody who wants it. Okay?
And Saturday, it's open from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Okay.
And then after that, you have to wait until November 5th and go to your regular precinct location. Now, a lot of people, I found this out from talking with the person I talked to at the Oklahoma County Election Board, that a lot of people who use like the audio tactile device of the voting machine that allows you to vote without filling out a paper form, a lot of them like to come and do the early voting because there's a lot less people around. There's not as many distractions, so they can do their thing. Also, county election board offices may be more physically accessible since they're county government office buildings. So therefore, people who have maybe mobility impairments will prefer to go to early voting. So that's always an option. You can go do early voting, and there will be people there to help you if you need assistance. Now, if you go to your precinct, there should be people there to assist you as well, but we'll get to that in a moment.
On the absentee ballot voting, what is the deadline to do that? Because I think there's a deadline.
There is a deadline. You have to have your request for an absentee ballot in by the third Monday
Of October?
before the election. So that is actually going to be October 21st.
Okay. And how do you call it in to ask
You
them to
can
mail it?
call to ask for one, or how good are y'all with technology? You good with computers and stuff like that?
Probably not, I mean, not for Miss Caroline,
Not for me yet.
not her, she's learning, and Suzanne, she's still.
Well, I mean,
So-
we can help. I mean,
Yeah.
Jennifer can
Yeah, I
help
can
with
help too,
filling.
but-
Because the easiest way, there's something now called the Oklahoma Voter Portal,
Yes.
where you can go in and you can do a bunch of stuff. And one of the things you can do is request an absentee ballot.
I can send you the link, and Suzanne, you'll need to change your address on there. You'll put
Yeah,
your
you can do a
old
change of address.
And you're gonna need to put your new address so that you can vote in Bartlesville.
Okay. I have an Oklahoma voters registration.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, you're already taking care of that?
Yes.
And you have your address that you have today?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect, you don't need
Yes.
that. Okay, well, I'll send you guys the link to that, and you can, if you want, if you wanna do the absentee.
Okay.
So just let me know who wants that so that I can do that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna send it all to you guys.
Now and with absentee ballots, there are a couple of options, okay? I vote by absentee ballot because I work at a precinct location different than the one I vote at.
Oh, okay.
And I can't vote at the one I work at because it's not the one that's assigned to me. So I have to vote by absentee ballot. Now with absentee ballot, you can request it for just one election, for each election, or for a full calendar year. And then if you select it like I did for a full calendar year, once January rolls around for the next year, you have to re-request absentee ballots for that year. And I love the absentee ballot, and here's why. You get your absentee ballot like a week to 2 weeks before election day. That gives me time to look up the names of these people that are on the ballot that I ain't never heard of.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
All the judges that they ask you to vote for, yes or no, that I never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually go look at some of their stuff. It's not easy to find information on a lot of these people, but at least it gives me a chance to try it rather than just walking in. And then the state election, the state questions that we're voting on, I can maybe do some research on that. That's why I love doing the absentee ballot now, is because it really does give me an opportunity to take a look at some of this stuff. And not just walk in blind going, well, never heard of him, never heard of her, never heard of this person. I guess I'll just vote no on all these judges.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So it gives me an opportunity to do some of that kind of stuff. Now there are two different types of absentee ballots. There's the regular absentee ballot for people who it's still just a paper ballot they send you in the mail, and you mark it the same way you mark the ballots at the precinct location when you go to vote in person. Same thing. You mark the ballot. It comes with 3 envelopes. You put your marked ballot in one envelope and seal it up. You put that envelope into another envelope that has a statement on the outside that you take to a notary public to get it notarized as you sign it.
Oh, you do need a notary.
This is for the regular absentee
Okay,
ballot.
for the regular.
And then all of that goes into the mailing envelope that you mail to the county election board. And they have to receive it by 7 p.m. on election day. Because it's just like showing up to vote. If you come to the poll at 7:01, you don't get to vote because the polls are closed.
the first way. Okay.
And you gotta send it by like notary mail, or
Okay.
you can hand deliver it. But it has to be you in person that hand delivers it, because they're gonna check your ID to make sure you're the person that's doing the voting. Now, they just came out last year, was it, Brett? Year before last, with the electronic absentee ballot?
I think it's just been this last year.
Just this last year. They have now an electronic absentee ballot that you can request. And they will send that to you, and you can fill that out on your computer.
Oh, I'm gonna have my mom turn that way.
You don't have to take the little pen and fill in the little boxes. You can do that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. You still need to, once you vote on the ballot, you have to print it out.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know about, I mean, even people who are tech savvy, a lot of us don't have printers at home anymore.
That's
I mean,
true.
you know, everything's electronic
The
now.
library has printers here though.
Yeah, the library.
But I bet you Jennifer's got printers in her office.
Yeah, I do.
And then the same thing, you got 3 envelopes. You got one envelope that you put the filled out ballot in. You got a second envelope that you put the first envelope in, and this one, your signature has to be witnessed by 2 people. It doesn't have to be a notary, but it has to be witnessed by 2 other people.
And do those 2 people have to be non-related?
Doesn't say anything, it just says two people, 2 other people.
Okay.
So that you don't have to go find a notary, you just have to know 2 people
Yeah.
who are
Okay.
willing to watch you sign a envelope. And then all that goes in the mailing envelope, and same thing, you have to send it or hand deliver it or whatever. So that's a good option, but you know, when I first read that, I was like, who in the world still got printers in their homes? You know, well, yeah, maybe some of us old fogies, you know. But then, you know, we know people who have them, or you can go to, you know,
Library.
FedEx, library, et cetera, et cetera. There are always places you can go to get these things printed out. So that's the option. And once again, this is, you have to get the request in by October 21st. Now, I wouldn't wait till that last day. I do that a little bit sooner. You still got 2 or 3 weeks now that you can get that done. Now you can, like I said, you can show up in person for early voting. You can go to your precinct for early voting. You can bring someone with you, a voter assistant.
You can go to your precinct for early voting?
No. I mean,
Go to the
I was just saying that's one option, the early voting. And now going to your precinct on election day is your other option.
And you can bring a helper for that.
You can bring a helper. You can bring an assistant. And actually, here's one of the little quirks of that. You know what they call it when you bring an assistant to fill out the ballot for you? They call it in-person absentee voting.
Oh.
Who knew? But I was reading this going, oh, that's actually called in-person absentee voting. Well, whatever. English language is amusing sometimes, isn't it? So what happens is, if you come in with somebody who's going to help you read the ballot to you, fill in the little boxes for you, et cetera, all you need to do, when you walk into a precinct, there are typically 3 people working in the precinct. You have a judge, a clerk, and an inspector. The judge is the one who is closest to the door when you walk in, that you hand your ID to. And they're going to check for your name in the precinct registry. And they're going to have you sign your name in the registry. And that's a person you can say, I can't, you know, my eyes have gotten bad as I've gotten older, or whatever, I'm blind, I can't vote, whatever you want to tell them. And this is the person who's going to be helping me vote. They will send you to the inspector, who then will give you a couple of things that you have to do. They have a couple of oaths. For you, the voter, they're going to ask you this: do you swear or affirm that you need assistance to vote because you are blind or visually disabled? And you say yes. Then they're going to ask the person that you brought in to assist you, they're going to ask this: Do you swear or affirm that you are not the voter's employer or an agent of the voter's employer? Do you swear or affirm that you are not an officer or agent of the voters' union? Do you swear or affirm that you will mark the ballots or help the voter mark the ballots according to the voter's wishes? They will say yes. And then there's a form that both of you sign. And then the inspector signs it as well. Now, if you can't, we have little signature cards. You've seen those little signature cards that they have to help you find the place on your check or wherever that you want to. Or if you can't sign for whatever reason, then like in the registry or on the form, the precinct official will write your name in and initial it to say that I'm signing this in place of the voter, and there's my affirmation that this person actually is here. So see, we've got ways to cover all these circumstances. So, okay, so what if you don't have somebody who's come with you to help you vote? Well, you can strike up a conversation with somebody in line and say, "Hey, would you help me vote?" Then they become your assistant. We go through this whole thing here. Or you can ask one of the precinct officials to help you vote. Typically the inspector, because the judge has got a job. He or she is checking all the names and checking the IDs. The clerk is handing everybody their ballots. I work as an inspector, so I just sit there looking pretty. That's all I have. No, I work with all these kinds of things. I make sure that the machine is working properly, et cetera, et cetera. But I have more time than anybody else. So you can ask the inspector to be your voter's assistant. And then I, as the inspector, would ask you, do you swear or affirm you need assistance to vote, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you want me to, I can administer the oath to myself as the voting assistant, but I'm going to answer yes anyway. So there's a way for you to do that as well. Precinct officials are there to help you as well. So
Okay.
you don't
Let
have
me
to
ask
bring
you this.
somebody with you.
Because I think I had a coworker that when we did the last voting, and they told her that, it was busy.
Yeah,
They couldn't.
Yeah.
They could not assist.
right,
There's massive amounts of people after work.
right.
So what do you do if that happens?
Call the county election board.
Okay.
They're the ones in charge of administering the rules. And if you are denying an individual as a precinct official, if I'm denying someone the opportunity to vote for any reason that's not legitimate, like maybe they're threatening to blow the place up,
Yeah.
or they're violating the rules by electioneering, holding signs, vote for who,
Someone brings a gun in.
yeah,
crazy.
all that kind of stuff. If I'm denying somebody the opportunity to vote for invalid reasons, that's going to be on me.
Okay.
And the county election board is going to have something to say about that.
Okay.
They may send someone to help you. I don't know what they do. Because one of the things that we do, that we are informed to do, is if there are any problems, we call the county election board. And if there's anything that of a serious nature that's going on, county sheriff's come.
Yeah.
They've got a hotline to the county sheriffs to come, and they may send a county sheriff out to help you. I don't know. I've never come across that.
Well, let's knock on the wood.
Yeah.
So we might just have that number handy,
Have that number handy.
just
Yes,
in case it's, for whatever reason it's needed.
exactly. Because
Okay.
they're the ones, like I say, they're the ones who administer the rules on the ground in the counties, and they.
We all.
I don't know all your all's county, but I know Oklahoma County. They take this stuff extremely seriously.
Yeah, they should.
Well, you always hope that things go smoothly with
Right.
with the person with the special needs, but 50% of the time, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know
It
exactly.
doesn't.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're
So-
talking about.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you don't want a family member or a friend or even the precinct people helping you. You want to do it 110% on your own.
Okay.
Like Miss Caroline here, she doesn't want her son to come in with her.
We have something with our machines that is called the audio tactile interface,
That's what we want you guys
the
to do.
ATI.
ATI equipment. I'm gonna write that down.
comes attached to every one of our machines with headphones and something that looks like a game controller. If you've ever seen somebody play an Xbox or something like that, it's a wired little box that has 5 buttons and a wheel going from left to right. The far left button is kind of oval shaped and it's red. It kind of looks like an apple shape. And you don't use that button until you're completely done. That's the cast ballot button. So once you've filled everything out, you hit that, and it's like sliding your paper ballot into the machine, and it snaps it up.
Sir?
Yeah.
How difficult would it be to see something like that ahead of election day?
I tried to get the state election board to come out and take a look at to bring one of these machines. You might call the county election board and see if they will give you a trial run on this thing.
I think they actually do, because Jane Lansall, our orientation mobility instructor, actually took 3 clients down to
Cool.
Tulsa, and a week before the first Trump election,
Right.
knowing it was going to be very busy.
It's going to be very
The
busy
Hillary
this
and
time.
the Clinton and the Trump, and they reviewed all of the equipment, and we also had a deaf client.
Oh,
And
cool.
they went through it completely with Jane and her clients, and I had just started. It was like my second day with the state, and Julie, my supervisor, asked me to go and observe. But you can request to come in, and they will show you how to use the machinery ahead of time.
Yeah.
So you have
I
to call the Washington Election Board, County Election Board.
I highly recommend it. It really is not that bad. It actually kind of walks you through a lot of the stuff. But yeah, the precinct workers are going to be busy. And tell you the truth, I got involved in helping with elections because I love I'd seen YouTube that we had this thing, and I was like, that's cool. I want to help people with that kind of stuff. Nobody ever asked for it. When they went to train me on the machine, they never, we went through it, and I was like, hey, you never talked about the ATI. I said, well, nobody ever uses it.
But by law, they have to supply.
But that's when I talked to the lady at the county election board and found out, actually, a lot of people do use it. They just come and do it for early voting because they find it much easier to do it that way.
Okay, that's how I would do it, ladies.
Yeah.
I would do it early voting using.
Because they got somebody there to help you through that. At the Oklahoma County, I actually volunteered to work the 4 days of early voting
And people were using
to
it.
help with the ATI because
okay.
they only had one person and they needed to because so many people show up to use that
How
for
many
early
did you
voting.
say had used it?
I didn't ask for numbers,
Okay.
but it like I say, you got one button on the far left that's cast a ballot. Then next to it, you've got 2 triangle buttons, and above it is a little oval button. The little oval button is help. It will repeat stuff to you. It will tell you instructions. It will tell you where you are on the ballot. The triangle buttons are previous and next,
Oh,
and that takes you from one contest to another contest. And the way we think of that is, okay, let's say we start with president at the top of the ballot. That's one contest. Then we go down to congressperson or senator. That's the next contest. And then it will, as you scroll through that, next. And really, I think the way it works is once you've made a selection, it goes automatically to the next contest anyway. But if you want to skip one, you can skip it. Okay, so next to that, the next button is enter. And that's what you hit when it gets to the person that you want to vote for. It'll go down the line, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Chase Oliver, I guess that's the libertarian, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I don't think he's on our ballot anymore, but it'll go down the line using the wheel. The wheel turns right and left, and going right, it goes from one name to the next name to the next name to the next name. You hear all the things, and you go backwards, back up to the name you want, hit enter.
And where's the wheels located?
It's all the way to the right.
All the way to the right.
All the way to the right. All the way to the left is I'm done, cast the ballot.
The big
And,
button.
and when you get done, before you hit cast ballot, it will actually tell you a summary of everything you voted for over the headphones. So it doesn't leave you guessing. Or if you, once again, the help button, if you're unsure, you know, all of this will walk you through it. Now, I've never used it. All I know is from what I've been told and observed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would go out to, and I'm looking forward to seeing it in action for early voting.
Yeah, I know some of my coworkers, they have used it,
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
One of the ladies that I was talking to when I went to Tulsa last week said it was one of the best experiences of her life because it was the first time she was
Yep.
able to go in independently,
Yep.
make her choice without any help,
That's
and it
what
just
Julie,
felt very,
my
very
supervisor,
gratifying to her to be able to go
Yeah.
and do this for herself
Yeah, that's what
without
Julie
any
told me.
assistance.
Yeah. Also, I've been told that if they don't have the equipment there, that they had to run it over to another precinct, that they have to bring it to you. That they can't say, well, we just don't have it.
Yeah,
have the right
I can't
to-
imagine that they wouldn't, because all the machines are the same machine in
Oh,
Oklahoma.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not like some places where each county has its own machines
Oh,
and its
okay.
own thing.
Okay.
Uh,
So every
In
precinct-
Oklahoma, we
Oh, that's
buy
good.
everything for everybody.
Okay, that's good to know.
So
Okay.
I can't imagine that would happen. And Brett also is a precinct official, has been for several years. He's actually had to have a voter use the machine.
That's good. Yeah, I know 2 or 3 people that have used it. They said it was
So I mean,
nice.
I think it's extremely cool, and it really is pretty basic. I mean, you don't have to be a computer whiz to be able to use this
Yeah.
thing, but it would be helpful to have some experience with it
Yeah,
beforehand.
there you go,
Yes.
beforehand.
Now, sir, do you go into a booth to do it? Or
Actually, we set up like a little table next to the machine because it's still wired to the machine, so you can't go very
Yes.
far.
Yes,
But you got headphones on. Nobody is hearing what you're doing.
right.
So it's the same as being in one of those little booths where nobody can watch
And
you.
there's a chair or something?
Yeah, and a chair. We'll set up a little table and chair.
Okay.
And you can see how early voting going and doing this could make much easier.
Now, the only complaint that I have heard from people who have used this machine is that sometimes the precinct can be very loud and you're not far enough away from the machine. So the machine, whenever somebody puts the ballot in, goes ka-chunk, you know, as it drops it and takes it, and that can be very distracting. All the noise that's going on. That's another reason why it seems like a lot of people who use this device go for